not, we'll entertain a
You
motion.
did private and public and loss for each one. Good job. You did be in alphabetical, because I just got the one. Okay. I move they be accepted as presented.
Okay,
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the July financial reports?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any, excuse me, any further discussion on those?
There's more coming on those, I assume.
So that's all.
Yeah.
I'll just take,
It's a lot to get it up and running.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a lot of accounts too.
Understand.
we had, well, it would be up to Fran to determine whether it was a productive meeting, but we did meet with the auditors, which I know has been an issue. And they are still backlogged. That's the word from them. So they're still working to clear our books. But we did take that opportunity. Fran took the opportunity to meet with them and talk about completing the transition from the old pen and paper ledgers that she inherited to QuickBooks, and to make sure that was something that they could continue to audit in the future. And so I felt like it was productive. I think Fran's opened up some dialogue with them for advice as we move forward. So I think that's a pretty good space for the time being.
Good.
Town manager's report.
In your packets were a couple proposals that I would like to briefly talk about. One was about spraying of the sidewalks and curbs. We have gotten some input from the citizens about the condition, and it's one of those items that it's really hard to stay in front of because it's a long stretch for one guy doing it, and by the time he gets to that end, it's time to start back at this end. So I reached out to Warsaw to ask what they do, because they had the same issue I know at one time, and they gave me the name of their vendor. I reached out to him, and he gave me a quote. He's in Montross every day, so he knew exactly what I was talking about. He's noticed it too. And what it would be a matter of spraying in the spring and in the fall. He uses a weed killer along with an emergent that would keep it from coming back once it's dead. And the initial one would be, he said, probably somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000, depending on how much he needed to use. And if you've ever bought Roundup, you know it's pretty expensive. But he said as long as it works well for that initial spraying, then it would need much less in the fall when it would get done. And so it would be somewhere in the anywhere from $300 to $400 or $500 range. I do know that it is very time consuming for Brian. It also allows for the opportunity for flying debris. We did have to replace someone's side glass window last year at almost $600. So again, it makes this almost seem cost effective. Does anyone have any questions about that? The gentleman said he could start as soon as we received approval or gave him approval.
Well, he's a good fellow. We're related to him.
Are you?
He's a lovely young man. Yes, he
I've
is.
heard he does really good work.
Yeah,
And his wife is a sweetheart as well.
it's true. Well, it's certainly needed, I think.
As far as the time consumption portion of it, I can see Brian out there. Every time a car passes by, he stops for a moment, waits for the car to go by, then resumes again. I don't know how he finishes the entire thing in one day.
I know I've had experience with that because a rock hit a truck one year, and I had to replace the window in the truck, and I didn't even see it. But one of the things, I was discussing this today, for the section that my life, that I'll take care of that myself, but I can talk about that later. A couple pointers I would like to share with whoever is doing it in the town. So I don't have to take up the time right now.
I just want to be, I just looking for a little clarification. So when we say sidewalk, curb, and gutter, what exactly, so we have the sidewalk, you have two sides, the curb, and then the wash, as I believe VDOT calls what the gutter, the wash. So is this price treatment for up on the sidewalks, the curb, and down in the wash?
It's for the street side of my understanding, it's the street side of the sidewalk where the grass is growing, and then down the curb, wash, that's for the grass that's in the
Okay,
street.
so not on the property owner's
Not on the property
side.
owner side.
And the only other thing that I would add,
And that's the way I believe, I will clarify that.
So the actual crack, the actual grooves
Seam.
in the sidewalks will not be done?
that's part of the question, I guess, is that, so there is some growth between the seams
Okay.
in the sidewalk.
So
And
that's the question.
I will ask that question.
And the only other comment that I have is if you all go this route, which it seems like a good thing, it does need to be handled. It's been a complaint for the 16 years that I've sat in this room, and so it's nothing new. It just doesn't seem to go away. There's not enough manpower. But I would suggest that we try to time it so that in my mind, if you went out and killed everything now, then you haven't removed the clumps of grass and things that have built up around it. So I don't think we're too far away from VDOT's fall cleanup prior to Fall Festival. So if you approve this, you might have a conversation with this vendor and see if that makes sense to them, unless they were gonna go and scrape all that stuff out of there. But so otherwise, if it was fresh and clean, the week before Fall Festival, then that would still permit time to have it treated while it was cleaned up,
Okay,
prevent grass growth in the initial application. So,
okay.
The grass in the seams, does it need to be cut out, scraped out too, at the same time?
well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that VDOT does that. I believe they would, it's always been my understanding that they own the curb and the wash.
Yes, yeah.
And all they do is bring a street sweeper.
Yeah.
in.
So I could be mistaken. You walk the town.
That's my impression, was just the gutter is what they would scrape out. But as far as I'm not sure any significant, I mean, we're talking about just a stretch here between East Side and
From the
downtown.
traffic light to Dollar General.
The whole way through? Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
the
okay.
Entire town. So, I mean,
There
you
are
have
some
to look and see if that's a tall growth. If it's just a little bit of grass growing in there, then the chemical would kill that and hopefully prevent it from coming back without too much residue or time. But
There are a few stretches there where the cracks are starting to significant growth, probably up towards Cancer Center up that way.
okay.
I was at Lyle Street and probably Laundromat up towards that direction. There are a few sections.
Today, it would need to be cleaned before spray. Well, that's what I would recommend.
The gutter.
The gutter, yes,
Yeah.
because right, I cleaned out my section last week, and before spraying.
Okay. Anybody have any thoughts? You interested in moving forward?
Yay,
Well, yeah, as long as we
it needs it.
Yeah.
have a clear understanding, which Fran, I'm sure will do.
And I'll respond back to all of you with what I find out.
Okay.
So the first application would be this fall or in the spring?
Well, I would ask what he intends to do, but
All
I
right.
would try to time it regarding the Fall Festival and what VDOT's going to do.
All right.
They've committed to helping us, but it's VDOT, so,
Did you? I know you sent them a note. Did you hear back from them?
yeah,
So there's,
Did we send
we're on
it?
their schedule prior to Fall Festival.
right.
Okay. It seems to me that you'd want to time it to let them clean that up
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then get in
Right.
there and treat it. So, because other than that, you still have a lot of labor-intensive cleanup to be done. Okay. I would suggest then some type of a motion that would allow Fran to make that decision based on the estimates here.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of approving the town manager to enter into a initial agreement with this vendor to clean or to treat the gutters and the wash, curb and the wash?
The details.
Yeah.
Need a roll call.
Okay,
Yeah, roll call, please.
yep. Mr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Hooks,
Aye.
Ms. Whitman,
Aye.
Mr. Watson,
Aye.
Carolyn,
Aye.
all right.
The other proposal I had was to enlist Southern Software. They have a service where they'll convert the county's real estate taxes into a program that our software will accept and be able to do without a lot of manual labor on our part. I was able to get the county to convert it in such a way that would save us money. So the $750 that it's going to cost is by having it in the format that they can accept. It was $950 if that wasn't the case. So, but that will allow, this is really important to me this season because we are, as I'll talk to you in a minute, we're in the throes of having to create an inventory of every property and every water line for an EPA mandate. It has to be done by October 16th, which is about the same time we would be working on real estate. So having this program would be very beneficial, and I think it would be beneficial going forwards too, because it's an extremely laborious process.
So this is for the software, this is not for them to do it?
They'll do the conversion, yes.
And then what do we get as an end product? An
They
actual
s-
printed bill?
they
Or I
s-
mean, a printed real estate invoice, if you will?
Well, I would imagine, and I have a call in about that, but I would imagine we will print the bill from our software, but they'll import it into our software for the bill to come out correctly.
We already use Southern software, right?
Correct.
For the water system?
Yes. They have about 9, 10 different products that they sell, accounting software and police software and everything else, so this is just a component.
On the surface, it certainly seems like a fair price to automate that process. Again, I would just ask that there's a full understanding of the deliverables for that money. So in
Yeah.
other words, if you get, there's a big difference between getting a DVD in the mail and trying to figure out how to work it,
Right.
and or somebody putting it on your system and saying, kind of like Claire did with the,
Yeah, no, they do
The other
everything
process.
electronically. I mean,
okay.
yeah, we have an app on our computers that allow them to get in and make necessary changes, and they did it this week, so,
Okay.
on other things,
And I see you've outlined where that money would come from.
yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? Anybody interested in making a motion?
I move that we purchase the software for the real estate bills.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And we'll do a roll call vote again. Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Ms. Whitman?
Aye.
Mr. Hooks?
Aye.
Mr. Green?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Good move, Fran.
Thank you.
Automation is good.
Yeah.
A couple other things that I didn't put on here, but I mentioned the EPA mandate. The EPA, this is not Virginia's, this is the EPA, is requiring every water system in the country to indicate whether there's any kind of lead, copper, galvanized product underground, whether it's ours or whether it's homeowners. So we have to create a database, which we've started the process. It's about an Excel spreadsheet that's about 50 columns. It's overwhelming. So we've done the initial part. We do have a company that the state of Virginia has enlisted for small communities, I think smaller than, I can't remember, 2,500, maybe, I can't remember. And it's at no cost to us for them to, they'll put the data in there, but we have to, and luckily, with our new water system and our new water line that we put in, we already know that all of those connections, at least on our end, are new and valid, and not copper. And we're also hoping that the vendor who put the water line in can tell us if they encountered any lead or copper when they had the meter boxes open and they were making connections. We're also going online into the county's website and looking to see if we can find out when homes were built. Anything built 1978 or newer would not have lead or copper. So we can eliminate some by that. But it's a process, and it does have to be done by October 16th. So that's going to be a lot of the things that we're working on between now.
That was just for the phase up until the property owners, correct? Or is that
That's
the
everything.
entire package by February, or October?
Yeah.
I thought that was phase one was what the municipalities were responsible for, and then phase two was for property owners, but
No, it's everyone.
wow.
It's a lot.
Is that included inside your house?
Yes.
Well, I know we got,
Copper.
we got stuff.
Copper, lead,
We got it all.
got a little bit of
Yeah.
that.
We got,
Stuff.
cast iron from the meter to the house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my house would be the same
And
way.
you'll all be, I believe that there'll be a survey that will go to, something be mailed to every property owner for that type of information. You know, we will encourage people to share that information, but then there will be an expectation that it's replaced, so.
You have to replace it.
Are they going to provide a grant for that?
But I think there will be some grants for the consumer side, but I don't know to what level.
Well, they haven't killed us yet, so I guess we'll.
Yeah.
Is that figure?
Good point. Good point.
Oh, I have on the water thing, right up at Rectory Road, in the middle of,
Mm-hmm.
there's a puddle.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Okay, let me address that.
Oh,
Hopefully by this time tomorrow, that whole thing will be taken care of. And, you know, we had these new water lines put in, but there's still old ones under there. Well, those are they're still energized with water. So some of the seepage that you see is from the water that still exists in those lines. There's one at Alma and Rectory, there's one at Voters Registration, and there's one in front of the firehouse. So you'll see water in all those places. They intended to cap that water line last week. We found out that the park was not tied into the new line. So that happened today. Ricky and Brian and a crew made that happen today. So tomorrow morning, they will be capping off the old line, hopefully never to talk about it again.
we got a bird bath up there.
The birds love it. No, the birds
Yes,
love it.
So, but I asked Brian to keep me updated so I'd know what to be able to tell you tonight, and he said that tomorrow morning, weather permitted, they will be capping off the old line, and then that will be done with that. And we also, in the beginning, you remember, we had to bore under Route 3, and that was getting permission from VDOT, which was a process in itself. So all of those steps have been taken, so hopefully tomorrow we won't have to talk about that again.
It's been a longer road than any of us would like, but just to wrap that up, we opted to not, the valves on that old system were bad. We would have had to dig those up, fix the valve just to shut off the old system, which is obsolete as of tomorrow. Obviously, we hope that had happened 2 months ago, but the things you learn with an old system.
Yeah.
But I agree with Fran. I think it was prudent to wait and not spend additional money when we didn't need to. Hopefully that will be in the rearview mirror. Last thing on the water system is Fran and I, through the Department of Drinking Water, have engaged the University of Maryland to provide us with a water rate assessment analysis. And so we've given them some additional information. I think we owe them some even more information, and they will take a look at demographics, use, other municipalities, other areas on water rates. And we're not locked to anything, but having invested in this system, we have taken our savings down quite a bit. We were very, very fortunate to come up with millions of dollars in ARPA money to do this. So it will be helpful in the future to adjust rates. At least you'd have some metrics, or not, I don't know, I mean, whatever that, at least there'll be metrics behind that decision, whatever we opt to do. And that's a free analysis also. I don't know how it became University of Maryland project, but that's who the Richmond Department of Drinking Water referred us to. So I think that's it in the water system.
The only other thing I had is I met with Barbara Jean today about the Fall Festival, and she said things are going okay, but she said sponsorship is really down, so they're really struggling to get funds in to help pay for a lot of things. So she just asked that I share that their sponsorship levels are not nearly where they were at this point last year.
Think the COVID business had something to do with that, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll follow up with her directly, but I mean, I haven't received anything as a business owner, and I'm not sure if it's too early, but typically.
We've had a number of pieces come back here that were returned mail, so something was mailed out
Okay.
some time ago.
I'll follow up with her. I'm just, I mean, if I didn't receive one, then others might not have.
Of course.
either.
Well, the American Legion was going to work at the fair, the carnival at Warsaw. Of course, it got rained out. And that canceled that whole thing, and all those vendors that were scheduled to be over there lost whatever the investment was. So, I mean, it's a hit and miss thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard when you invest that. The year we moved it because of the hurricane was heading our way.
That's true.
Mhm.
I'm just a small business too, but I mean, I stocked up because that's a big day with supplies. Fortunately, most of them are shelf stable, but, okay. Last week, a proposal was made to change the meeting time for Montross Town Council from 7:30 to 6 p.m. You all seemed in favor of it. We have advertised that to the public. Have you received any public comments, opposition? Okay. So at this point, we'll entertain a motion to adopt that resolution that we read last week. I have a copy of it.
Last month.
Pardon me?
Last month.
Yeah. Did I say
Last week.
last week? It's the same thing to me. Sorry.
Time
Last
flies.
week, yeah.
It does.
I'll forego reading the whole thing. The gist of it is that the day remains the same for Tuesday of the month, with the exception of December based on the holidays, and the time would move from 7:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. So
So I move that we accept the resolution.
we have a motion and a second. And if you don't mind, I'm going to take a roll call vote again. Mr. Green?
Aye.
Mr. Oaks?
Aye.
Ms. Whitman?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Okay. I'm not voting for Joey, but I know he's in favor of it, so. And as a sidebar, I did communicate with him on the other two issues that you've already approved, and he was in favor of both of those. So again, I'm not casting Joey's vote, but I did want you to know that he was aware of those and in favor of that, so. Okay. I gave each of you a kind of a little packet there. It makes perfect sense to me, but it may not make much sense to you. So if you will indulge me, we'll go through it. As you know, we're, the ARPA money that we had received, we have done some fantastic things with it. You all have done fantastic things. We've acquired property for a town parking lot. We have a park that's up and running. And in my view, it was money well spent. We are down to kind of the crunch time now. We need to commit and use the rest of that money down to by December. I believe it's December 31st. Is it the calendar year or?
Actually, I believe it might be like December 15th.
Okay. And the old federal government in me would like very much to run that balance down to pennies or zeros. So I have provided you some options or some insight. At one time, I thought the money would go further, price increases. One of the vendors no longer exists. So I personally, I spend a fair amount of time over at the park, either watering or talking to people, and it warms my heart that I see families out there. They have picnics, parties, kids are playing. And the only feedback that I had received, I'm not even going to say it was negative feedback, it's just feedback, was that there's some families that would have appreciated something for smaller kids. I think the breakout is 2 to 5 and then 6 to 12 or something. And I think we made a good decision with the money we had seeded through the Virginia Outdoor Group, and then the public donations were landmark, about $33,000, which is an incredible amount. So you'll see at the top there, Tim Sanford, formerly of Carvel Landscaping, is going to help with the shrub line that we wanted to do to create a green fence along Miss Johnson's property. And those will be planted by a working group here, but the cost would be about $1,500 to get the plants. They'd come up from North Carolina, I believe. He's got a recommendation for one that will fill out both horizontally and vertically. Probably take a couple, 3 years for it to really mature and fill in. But the story walk, as you know, we have all the pedestals down in the basement. I met with a potential installer just today. I don't have a quote for you. I hope to have that pretty soon. I just have, I'd like to tell you that I was going to do it myself, but I'm out of time and I just don't think I can get to it. And I really have not found anyone else that said they could do that or had any interest in doing it. So I'll give him a couple days to come up with a quote. And again, this is in my view. I think the last things that you're looking at for the park is maybe some lighting. And we had talked at one point about putting a security camera out there. It could, wherever people say it should be mounted would be fine. And then I think you're pretty well done. Keeping in mind that the money has already been committed to pave the footpaths and to clean up the little parking area next to the large pavilion. That would be asphalt, and it would grade down to the Ames Road, and the vendor that has looked at that and quoted that price works with us, with the town extensively to do patches and with VDOT. So I have every belief that he would do that properly and within code, and he would also pave the footpaths. So that's an expense that's already accounted for. We're just talking about that remaining funds above doesn't include that. Some time ago, probably longer than I'd like to tell you, you all voted in favor of a pickleball court. At the time, the quote that I had was from a vendor out of Maryland. They don't exist anymore. It just took way too long to get there. So I engaged a local professional company to see what it would cost. The quote for the complete install is $95,000, 131, which is clearly a lot more than I had expected.
How many pickleball courts?
That's for 2 courts,
2 courts.
with all the paint, the nets, the fence around it, and everything. I talked to that company, and I talked to our paving company, and if we got our paving, it's not ours, but a paving company that we use a lot, you'll see that next item 2 would be if we manage the project, you could get it paved for that much, and then the next line down would be the cost for the tennis and pickleball people to install the nets, the anchor, the color coding, the fence around there. And you'll see that it would be a significant savings. Still a lot of money, but a significant savings. So I wanted you to know where we were with that, and I also wanted to present the next line down. If you were interested in expanding the playground area, underneath there, I had included the quote. This is from the same company that installed it. Here's a complete package if you'd like additional information. I didn't burn all 20 pages for everyone. But if you can envision taking the plastic barriers in toward the footpath, so inboard, and then squaring that up, filling it with wood chips, it would include this tortoise with the, you could have kids and adults ride in it. It would seat 4 people. It's like I don't know about a teeter-totter, but it's on springs. And then another play apparatus. As I said, there's additional information in here. We'll show you the whole thing.
And this teeter-totter is age 2 to 5 appropriate item?
Yes.
Okay.
I had looked at their catalog, and we had talked, I believe we had talked about the spring-loaded, like a horse or something like that. I've seen at other playgrounds that's for that age group. The vendor came back and said, I hear what you're saying, but for not much more we could do something like this. So you'll see that quote in its entirety is for $37K. That includes freight, installation, and as I said, you're welcome to flip through that. I just didn't burn a copy for everyone. And so there you have it. There certainly is conversations that still go on with the area pickleball people that are interested in raising money for pickleball courts. So I just wanted you to have options. It's late in the process, and we're getting down to crunch time to commit the last of that money.
Okay, well, I need to understand. Okay, the ARPA money, that's leftover ARPA money, what we have, and then the public, that's the amount of public donations we have left.
Correct.
So we have a total of those 2 things together.
Correct.
Then now the shrubbery, the story walk, and the park lighting and security cameras, they also need to come out of this money?
Correct.
We don't have the money already in that,
No.
okay.
No, and the shrubbery is the only thing that I have. I feel like that's a good price. Actually,
Yeah.
he quoted it less than that, and I rounded it up to make sure that it was.
I'm looking at the pickleball courts, and either way, that's a lot of money.
Well, it's obviously way more than what we have, so.
Yes, yes. And I guess, I just don't see how we can do it. We also need to pave the parking lot at some point, correct?
That money's committed,
It's already
we have that.
Good,
That's
okay.
not, that's everything, I'm sorry, I had another spreadsheet, I just don't want to confuse
That's okay.
the whole thing. The easement money to the lawyer is accounted for, we already own the property.
Yes,
And the paving over there is all money that we have subtracted out
okay,
of that amount.
okay, good.
The only things that remain, in my view, I mean, the other thing is, you're not locked into paving the footpaths or paving the parking over at the park. I think it would be good you would save over the years of having to keep spraying the footpath, and I think it would help with wheelchairs and.
Yes.
I think you'd already decided in
wasn't
the
the right
previous
word,
council
the,
meeting that that was a
Yeah.
for sure thing.
The strollers, that's the word I was looking
We have the funds to finish the park, right? Through this ARPA and the public donations.
at. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you have the funds to, for example, if you committed to doing the playground expansion, that would be 37K subtracted from the 38K in the top line there.
Gotcha.
And the rest of that, the remainder of that could be utilized for, combined with public donations for story walk, security, and the shrubbery.
Yeah, but that should be sufficient, wouldn't you think?
Oh, absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to finish the park.
Yes.
To get it to where we want it to be before we go into something else.
Okay.
I think we would get more immediate use out of the park with the expansion there. And Whitney has told me this evening that the first Friday was approved. They decided to have it back at the park this year, for September too. And I just want to comment on that because I thought the first Friday over here, the first one they had over there was fantastic. I mean, my son was occupied at the park over there, and the park was full over there with people, kids are there playing. So I think the expansion, is going to be a wise idea.
Okay.
Yeah. And like you said, a lot of the families I encountered over there too said, we just wish we had a little bit more to do over here
Yeah,
for
Yeah.
more some younger kids.
I think it's all appropriate. We went with the money that we had at
Yes,
the time,
yeah.
and listen, what you guys have accomplished is unbelievable. I've heard that we needed a park for the last 16 years that I've sat in this room, and so there it is.
Yeah.
We did it a little bit ad hoc, and we did it on the cheap, but you have a very nice space. I
Yes.
agree with you. I went to the last First Friday over there, and thankfully the county put that public head in, or bathroom facility that alleviates the need to rent porta potties. I don't really know where people park, but it would be the same thing if they were over on private
Yeah.
property. That didn't
Yeah.
seem to be an issue. I know some people utilize the library, and vendors were able to pull in, and we will keep that same pull-in open for the story walk when that's in, so the vendors can line up on that grassy area. The ones that I talked to, they all seem to like it. They enjoy themselves. I think if we clean up that parking lot, that little area there, you would have the vendors. It really wouldn't. It would cost $20 to put an electrical outlet on there, and maybe charge a food vendor a little bit more if they plugged into your power system or something. But I think it's prudent, and part of me was really excited about pickleball, but when I talked to a company out of from across the river 2 years ago, the price he shouted out, I never really got a written quote, which was part of the problem, but it seemed like it was doable. And when you really get into the company that I engaged, a very professional outfit, they're local, they understand that we didn't have a lot of money And so he did suggest that you could save money if you have it paved, and then we'll come in and make it right for you. And so that's it. I think, you know, the bottom line is you have that price. You could take a look at some of your other funds, economic development, revitalization, things if you really think that it would bring. The petition that people signed when I first checked into this seat was that it was a group of people that like to go out in the morning, they like to spend money at lunch, and they like to support the local town. It's more of a social thing, or pickleball and social. So, you know, maybe that's an option going down the road, and maybe you start another fundraising campaign and see if you can't close that gap. If the town can come up with half and maybe get that kind of support again. So, but there you have it. You guys want to make a decision tonight? I have sent this to Joey as well. I wanted him to be read in. I haven't really heard back on that, but we have talked about such things. So.
Well, I'm with Catherine, I think, and everybody else. I think we need to continue to finish up the park.
Okay.
Do it as much as we possibly can. And I think the park will support a whole lot more people than perhaps pickleball. I think we're limited as to the people that will be using the pickleball.
Sure.
So,
Catherine bought knee pads. She was ready to go. I was ready to challenge her too. Yeah, I'm making light of it. I agree with what you're saying. I want to take the opportunity to thank you all for entertaining all of these ideas over the last 2 years. You've come a long way. And nothing wrong with changing our course right now and continuing to invest in the town.
well, we've had a couple of good leaders.
I think that the company that would get the contract for this, I intentionally didn't use a lot of company names tonight because I would prefer to be in closed session when you actually commit the money, but they're grade A. Everybody uses them. That's who did the park initially, and they're familiar with it. They can reutilize some of those borders, kind of open those up, add to them, and he's got it pretty detailed. The schematics in there kind of break it all out. Aaron, what do you think? You are a park aficionado.
The only thing I'm a little bit hesitant about is the smaller little teeter-totter thing, whether it would be more beneficial to go with maybe 2 standalone items or so, just separate, the horse or a fire truck or a police car, whatever we want to go with that, and like 2 standalone items, if we have the room for it there, versus the 4-person seater thing. But
I'm wide open. He came back and he made a recommendation. That's what I had sent him. I forget whether it was a horse or a race car or something like that. And he seemed to have some data and some logic behind his recommendation. Yeah. And admittedly, it was a little bit more than I thought we would spend. But then again, this is once in a career opportunity. You have money that was gifted to us, and if you reinvest it in the park.
And the other thing is, if we have extra room at some point to put a standalone thing into, those don't cost as much money. So if we go with this right now while we have the money, then
I'll see if I have the email, and please help me engage. You have better questions. You have kids, and you go and use the park, and if there's something if council approves this and that amount of money, if it saves you money, then I don't think anyone would object. But as long as we keep that cap there, that would take us right down to, give or take $1,600 left, and that would pay for shrubs, or we can earmark that for a security camera, or even the light posts,
Yeah.
if that comes through or something like that.
Mhm.
But I agree with what he's saying, because the teeter-totter is gonna really go more to the little bit older, because they will play together. Little kids are, it's all about them,
Yeah.
and they're not gonna wanna play, they probably would get on their individual little
Mhm.
Okay.
pieces.
Yeah, I'll have to dig out his email. He seemed to have some logic behind it. I'm not defending it. I'll pass it on to particularly both of you guys, and or I'll give it to Fran and she can share it. That'd be more appropriate. And I don't really remember what his rationale was. I'm sure it was to make a little more money, but.
It's a business, right?
Yeah, but they did. They were. I really appreciated them. If you will, it was a no-nonsense company. We committed to that money a couple years ago, and on the date that was chosen, they showed up. It was kind of nasty weather, got into winter time, and they did it. I think this year we just want to manage it so that they lay down plywood or something, don't tear up what has been accomplished over there, and try to contain that construction zone. But I don't have any reason to think they wouldn't do that. They were pretty good. Okay.
So do we need to make a decision to go in that direction without spending the money just yet, or?
I think if I would make a suggestion that you commit to utilizing the remainder of that, or as much as possible of that ARPA money
Yes.
in the park.
Mm-hmm.
And if you opt to not do the four bug thing, I believe the other two things were maybe half that price.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's what you want to do, then you might save a little money. I wouldn't worry about that, because with the other items, it can go there. I think with the public donations, you have a lot of flexibility having that money, even if it's for maintenance and additional add-ons, things like that down the road. So with that, I think if I'd suggest you make a motion to commit $37K out of the ARPA fund to playground expansion tonight, and that way we can engage. I will look for the emails tonight or first thing in the morning and send them to Fran. If that makes sense to you, then you can make a decision whether to stay with the four-seater thing or go with the two smaller.
I guess if they say we have enough space for it, I mean, whether we have just one or, now if it's just one versus that or two versus that, like individual items,
I think
then
I had asked for two originally, but
I think two would make sense to me. If we don't have enough space for two, then maybe that's the better option. Then
it seems like there's a schematic
Yeah.
in there that I know each one has. We can look them up online too. Each one presents itself with the area required
All right.
for it. And I did ask. I think it was you that brought it up one night we met at the park. I asked them about fixing that
yes,
that strange jog where the slide comes down.
yeah. So
And,
it's
we
this
didn't really have a
section right here.
yeah.
I'm not sure why that it's not squared off right there. I think you put a standalone thing right there probably, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't have an explanation for
Yeah.
you. I look at it now and I think, I don't know why we didn't question it, but
Yeah.
he said that's no problem. They will swing that out and fill it so that at least it doesn't look like you're gonna run
Yeah.
off of it.
And if that space could be used for something, then maybe we put something
I
in
doubt
there.
it's much usable space. I think it would just offer more of a landing zone for coming off of the slide. Town manager, thoughts?
I'm just excited that we're gonna be able to commit the rest of the funds and
Yep.
not have to give anything back.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, if it sounds like that's your decision, I will forego a yay or nay, and we'll do a roll call vote. It's an opportunity for you, if you don't like this idea, to not vote for it.
Okay, I make a motion that we
I'll-
proceed with the park and
I'll
the
second.
items listed,
Okay,
the expenditures, yes.
thank you. We have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
All
Yep.
right. Mr. Green?
Aye.
Mr. Hooks?
Aye.
Ms. Whitman?
Aye.
Ms.
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye. I was just excited about it.
I'm sad I don't get a vote, but I appreciate
Is
your
that-
support in
Can't
doing
wait to
that. I
go on
think
that
that's money well
when
spent.
it's done.
Okay.
Comedy hour.
Fran, that's all I had.
Yeah, me too.
So, next month, we will meet at 6 o'clock. I can find my calendar here. 2, 3, 4, that'll be the 24th. September 24th will be the first meeting at 6 PM. Sound good? Makes everybody happy, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
My spaghetti won't get cold like it is tonight. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for attending. Meeting is adjourned.
Good work, good work. Good meeting.